Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lecture 21, The Divided Line, Levels of Knowledge and Reality. Today, we dive into one of Plato's most insightful metaphors in the Republic, 509d 511e, the divided line. This metaphor serves as a map of knowledge and reality, helping us understand how to move from ignorance to proper understanding. It allows us to see the distinction between the visible world, which is ever-changing, and the intelligible world, where actual knowledge resides. Dialogues to gain the most from today's lecture, I encourage you to read the relevant sections in the Republic Book 6, particularly those surrounding the divided line. This will provide essential context for our discussion. Dialogues like the Phaedo and Phaedrus can also help frame the metaphor within Plato's broader philosophical system. These texts are complementary and vital to grasping Plato's vision of reality and knowledge. We will examine the four levels of cognition: eikasia, imagination; pistis, belief; dianoia, thought; and noesis, intellect, and explore how these levels map onto the visible and intelligible realms. Plato's work guides us in understanding how one ascends from mere opinion to actual knowledge, reflecting the philosopher's broader vision of education and the pursuit of the good. Connecting as we progress, connecting these ideas to Plato's theory of forms will also be crucial, which lies at the heart of his metaphysics. Reading these key texts, especially alongside the allegory of the cave in Book 7, will deepen your understanding and enrich your philosophical journey. I encourage you to take the time to engage with these readings, as they are fundamental to grasping the essence of Plato's philosophy. Let's begin by visualizing the divided line and its subdivisions, and consider how this structure reflects our capacity for knowledge and the nature of reality. Lecture 21, The Divided Line, Levels of Knowledge and Reality. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we will delve into one of the most profound metaphors in Plato's work, the divided line. Found in the Republic, particularly in Book 6, the divided line serves as a framework through which Plato illustrates his epistemological and metaphysical understanding of knowledge and reality, 509d 511e. At its core, this analogy bridges the seen and the unseen, the intelligible and the sensible, and most importantly, the steps toward attaining true knowledge. We will explore the components of this analogy and its philosophical implications, linking it to broader themes in Plato's dialogues. Let us begin by visualizing the divided line and its subdivisions. The structure of the divided line. Plato divides the line into four distinct sections, corresponding to different levels of knowledge and reality. Imagine a line split into two major parts, with each half further divided. The two major parts represent the visible, the realm of becoming, and the intelligible, the realm of being, while the subdivisions represent different cognitive states within each realm, 509d 510a. In the realm of becoming, the visible, we have eikasia, imagination. At the lowest level, this section refers to the most superficial kind of perception, shadows, reflections, and images, 509d. This is the world of mere appearances and illusions. Those who live solely in this realm are captivated by sensory data without understanding its underlying causes. Pistis, belief. Slightly higher is the realm of belief, where one perceives the actual objects in the world, trees, animals, and physical objects, but still lacks a true understanding of their essence, 510a. This represents a step closer to knowledge, but remains tied to the empirical world. Next, in the realm of being, the intelligible, we find dianoia, thought. This section represents the level of thought that involves the use of hypotheses and deductive reasoning, 511c. Plato uses mathematics as an example here, where one employs abstract reasoning, but still relies on assumptions rather than direct understanding of first principles. Noesis, intellect. Finally, at the highest level, we reach the realm of pure understanding, where the mind apprehends the forms directly, free from reliance on hypotheses, 511d. Here, one grasps the ultimate reality, the forms themselves, including the highest form, the form of the good. This structure reflects Plato's belief that the ascent to knowledge is a gradual process, beginning with the unreliable world of appearances and culminating in the direct apprehension of truth, 511e. The analogy in context. The divided line is introduced in the Republic, 509d, 511e, as part of Plato's broader discussion on education and the ideal philosopher king. In this dialogue, Socrates is conversing with Glaucon, who seeks clarity on the nature of reality and knowledge. The line functions as a way to categorize different levels of cognitive experience, ranging from mere opinion to the highest form of knowledge. To fully understand the significance of this analogy, it helps to consider its place within the broader philosophical context of Plato's theory of forms, which he also explores in the famous Allegory of the Cave, 514a, 520a. The two metaphors, the divided line and the cave, are deeply interconnected. In both, Plato shows how the physical world is but a shadow of the more perfect, intelligible world of forms, 514b. For example, the prisoners in the cave see only shadows on a wall, much like those who dwell in the lower section of the divided line are only acquainted with eikasia and pistis. From opinion to knowledge, Plato distinguishes between two main types of knowledge: doxa, opinion, and episteme, knowledge, 476e. Opinion is associated with the lower half of the divided line, while true knowledge belongs to the upper half. However, even within these categories, there are different levels of understanding. At the level of eikasia, individuals have mere opinion based on what they perceive through the senses, 509d. This state is unreliable because it does not engage with the underlying reality. Think of how Plato discusses the artists in Ion, 533d, 535a, whose creations are based on imitations of physical objects. The artist, much like the person relying on eikasia, deals with images and reflections, not with truth. Moving up the line to pistis, belief involves a closer connection to reality. Here, one is no longer merely looking at reflections, but at the objects themselves, 5 and 10a. While this level of cognition allows for a more stable understanding of the world, it still remains within the realm of the empirical, meaning it is tied to the world of change and decay. Plato's aim, however, is to guide us beyond the realm of doxa to the realm of noesis, or true understanding. As we ascend the line, we leave behind the world of changeable objects and enter the world of unchanging forms. This is where knowledge proper begins, and this transition is critical in understanding Plato's epistemology, 511e. Mathematics and the ascent to noesis. Plato assigns a special role to mathematics in the transition from belief to true knowledge. At the level of dianoia, the intellect operates through the use of abstract thought, but still relies on hypotheses, 511b. Mathematics, for instance, deals with abstract entities like numbers and shapes, which are more stable and universal than physical objects, but still depend on assumptions. The mathematician assumes certain axioms and works within a logical framework, but this is not yet pure knowledge, because it still relies on unexamined premises. Plato offers a comparison between the work of the mathematician and the philosopher in Republic, 511b, 5111c. The mathematician uses visible symbols, diagrams, numbers, and figures as tools to access abstract truths, but the philosopher goes further by questioning the foundations of these assumptions. The philosopher, through dialectical reasoning, transcends the hypotheses and reaches noesis, direct intellectual insight into the forms. The distinction between mathematics and pure dialectic is echoed in the Phaedo, 74a, 76th, where Socrates explains that true knowledge is not about sensory perception, but about understanding the unchanging realities behind the world of appearances, 74a, 76d. The form of the good. At the pinnacle of the divided line is the form of the good, which Plato equates with the ultimate source of all knowledge and reality. It is analogous to the sun in the Allegory of the Cave, 517 BC, illuminating the intelligible world and making knowledge possible. Just as the sun allows us to see the objects of the visible world, the form of the good allows the mind to apprehend the forms, 508b. In Republic, 508b, Plato describes the form of the good as beyond being, meaning that it transcends all other forms in both power and perfection. The philosopher, through the practice of dialectic, strives to know the good, and it is this knowledge that equips the philosopher to rule wisely. The good is not only the source of knowledge, but also the source of moral order, 508b, 509a. It is what gives value and meaning to all other things. The ascent of the soul. The divided line also represents the ascent of the soul from ignorance to enlightenment. This journey, which Plato describes in the Symposium 210a, 212a, as a ladder of love, is one of moving from the love of physical beauty to the love of the beauty of souls, and ultimately to the love of the beauty of the forms themselves, 210a, 212a. This ascent is both an intellectual and a moral process. It requires the individual to transcend the appetites and desires associated with the physical world and to orient their life toward the pursuit of truth and virtue. In the Phaedrus, 247c, 249d, Plato uses the metaphor of the charioteer to illustrate the internal struggle between the rational soul and the irrational desires that pull it toward the sensible world. The soul must learn to control these lower impulses in order to ascend to the realm of the intelligible, where it can contemplate the forms and achieve true knowledge, 247c, 249d.